Hi, welcome. I'm Diana Larkin, and this is the Watchman's Journal. We're going to go over another week of prophetic words that I heard in my journal from the Father, who has been so kind and so good as to keep us, word after word, encouraging us, helping us along the way in this amazing battle that we find ourselves in. The name of this episode is Let the Curtain Fall. And if that sounds a little intense, it is because this week's entries, there's really a sense of buildup, of intensity in these words. I think things are about ready to break. Let's begin with November 30th of 2022. Turn the page. Now, this would have been the last day in November. And he said to me, tomorrow begins a new month for you, a month that you have chosen to celebrate the light of the world coming to the earth. His coming changed the course of history, and it changed your life. When you surrendered your life to Jesus and accepted his sacrifice for your sins, you turned the page and began a new life. Such a season is now upon your nation. It is time for your land to turn the page and to be brought back to life, justice, and righteousness. Keep in mind that when Jesus came to earth, there was a death before the resurrection could happen. The mess your nation is in is due to evil leaders and blinded eyes and stopped up ears of the people. It seems beyond repair, but God, I have promised a miraculous resurrection for your nation, and so it shall be brought back to life, freedom, and abundance. Your enemies will lay on the ground, trampled by your feet of victory. Tomorrow, I want you to turn the page and begin declaring, this is a season of new life and light for my nation. Let the new story begin for your land. This is a good word, and it's really easy for us to repeat the things in the natural that are happening, that are disturbing and not right. But why are we putting out the enemy's plan and reinforcing it? We need to be declaring what God has promised us. He's going to turn the page for our nation, and we need to declare that. We're going to go to a journal nugget, which is an entry from last year, November 30th, 2021. We'll just read a few sentences from this one. I don't threaten, I do. I have announced that the darkness over your nation is coming down. I am not threatening to do this. I am going to do it. Flex those spiritual muscles I've been growing in you and halt the enemy's assaults on your freedom. Stand with me, the one who does not threaten. He does what he said he would do. Look out, darkness. Here I come. Wouldn't want to be darkness. Now, at this particular point, this journal entry from March 18th of this year just came to my mind. It came to the forefront. You know how Holy Spirit does that. And it's called I Move Mountains. And I just felt like it was a confirmation of some of the things that have been prophesied. He says, I've been displaying my power now in nature by the increase of earthquakes and volcanoes. These power events should serve as a heads up for you that I'm fulfilling my promises to you. And we have seen this last week a major eruption, 2 volcanoes in Hawaii and also one in Indonesia. Those are just ones I know of that I've heard. And the Father says, in a day, you will see my voice remove them from power. My voice will crack open their hiding places, and all their evil deeds will spill out into my light. I have told you these things to steady you as my voice moves the mountains and great upheaval happens. Remain under my protection and in the stability of my sure promises. There are themes that are going to be repeated throughout this week's entries that have been repeated in the last 4 years. And that is things are going to happen suddenly. We're to stay under his protection. He is going to expose. So on December 1st of 2022, we began the new month with this word: the fox has left the hen house. Well, this is kind of an allegory or a symbolic representation. Just like Jesus used parables to tell spiritual truths, so this is one as well. It helps us picture what the Father is saying, because sometimes spiritual concepts can be hard to grasp, but we get them when we get a natural picture of them. So the Father said, the fox thinks he's sly, so sly and cunning, he has plundered the henhouse, consuming what was good, pure, and life-giving. He's full of plundered goods and full of himself. His pride blinded him from seeing that the henhouse he thought he got away with stealing was a huge trap set by me. Oh, the bait was too enticing, and he couldn't resist the thought of stealing such a prize. He thought the darkness would protect him and that people would believe the henhouse was really his. He's been using his familiar tactics of fear-mongering, intimidation, and blackmail to silence any who would search out or try to expose the truth of the steal. Suddenly, he's being shown the door out of the henhouse, and he will stumble and fall on his way out. He's suddenly finding himself under the bright light of exposure and truth, and the weight of his betrayal and treachery are crushing him, and he will not rise again. I have posted a sign to the darkness on the door to the henhouse: access denied. Now he's going to go on to explain to us what this parable is about. The henhouse is my prize covenant nation. The thief represents the puppet leader the darkness put in place. When he falls and is exposed, all those who set up the theft of my nation will also be exposed and caught in my trap, including the one who spoke in the ear of the puppet. Watch this unfold and know that great joy will come when it is announced that the fox has left the henhouse. I look forward to that. December 2nd of 2022, Soaring Victory. This is a good one. This epic war that you are fighting for the life of your nation and for your freedom has been a hidden war. The battles are not out in the open with troops and tanks, but it has been a war fought in the shadows of hidden meetings where arrogant, evil people planned your destruction. The battlefield has been the minds and hearts of a people. Who will they believe? Who will they serve? In the shadows, lies were concocted to feed the people through the lying media and the corrupt leaders that had taken over control of all areas of your society. I awakened my remnant to what was happening in the shadows, and I showed them how your freedoms were slowly being choked out and stolen. You, my remnant, have grown to be my army of light, and by faith you have joined me on the battlefield fighting this hidden, encroaching enemy. You have fought by my side despite others' disbelief and the enemy's mocking voice taunting you to give up and to not believe me. This has been the most difficult season of your life, with continual battles and with very little visible results. You have continued to trust me, to place your hope in my promises. It has not been easy, but it has resulted in you becoming a dangerous weapon against the darkness and a true son or daughter of my heart. Your faith, your perseverance, your courage are going to be rewarded by a soaring victory. It is going to be a celebration of your faith, my power to deliver, and great rewards to my faithful ones. It will all be worth it when you experience my soaring victory. Good promise. A journal nugget from December 3rd of 2021. The battle cry has been sounded. The battle cry has been sounded across this land. It is ringing out, calling all of my army to their battle stations. Take up your posts. Watchmen, cry out and sound the alarm where you see the enemy approaching. Trumpeters, sound the call for reinforcements for weak places that need shoring up. The tide of the war for your land has turned. You are no longer just defending the ground. Now it is time to go on the offensive and march forward, taking back your nation from dark and ugly forces. Go in my name, go in my strength, go in my armor of light. The battle cry has been sounded. Now go and reclaim your land. This was, of course, a year ago, and I can see in this past year the battle really has shifted, even despite all the yelling and screaming and bad things that they try to make happen. We are on the offensive, and I praise God for that. I happened to go back also to December 3rd of 2020, another year, because it really spoke the same kind of message, and it was called Moving into a Showdown. Quietly, inexorably, I am moving this nation towards a showdown between good and evil, darkness and light. Your prayers, decrees, worship, and faith have built a highway for my presence to roll across your land, sweeping away evil and corruption and leaving behind my glory, power, and deliverance. I will release a standard of righteousness, and the fear of the Lord will blanket the nation. Freedom and joy will ring across this land. Watch me bring about the showdown. December 4th of 2022 is a very sobering entry, and it's called Let It Begin. To the deep and buried darkness, I am declaring, open up and be exposed before the world in all your treachery and evil. To the proud and haughty mountains, I say, be brought low. You're being removed from your positions of power by my great shaking, and nothing will protect you from my hand of power unleashed against your evil and your greed. All lies and corruption will now be flushed out, swept away by my tsunami of judgment and justice. Behold the ruins of an evil empire, and watch as their plans of death and destruction for you are turned back into their camp. It is their stubborn choice to continue to serve darkness that will bring them a harvest of what they have sown. As I open the earth to reveal darkness, so I will from heaven open portals of glory all over your land. My glory will bring healing, comfort, restoration, and renewed hope in my goodness and in my power. My glory will cleanse your land and bring the hearts of people home to my heart. This is the dawning of the day of my vengeance against darkness and the day of my rescue and restoration of those in the light. Let it begin. Here's a couple lines from a journal nugget from December 4th. What if? Psalm 124, 2-3. What if God had not been there for us? Our enemies in their violent anger would have swallowed us up alive. My remnant army is well on the way to knowing that if it were not for my help and power, that your nation would truly have been lost. And this reminded me of a dream that I actually quoted in this journal entry that had happened on December 4th of 2020. And I was really, it's a dream about leakers. Sometimes we call them blowers of the whistle. And I wasn't sure whether I should share it or not, because I try to, keep this program into a tight schedule. But we had 2 leaks in the natural in our house the night before. So I thought, I'm supposed to share this. So here we go. I was awakened I was dreaming, but I dreamed I awoke to a heavy rain. I realized there were leaks in every room of the house. I went into the store it was attached to our house that sold fancy Mexican dance dresses. And there was a huge pouring leak in that room. So the interpretation that the Holy Spirit gave me was God's rain, not his kind that is wet, but his REIGN, is exposing hidden things. And leakers are appearing everywhere. There's going to be a very large damaging leak that will be exposed from our neighbor, Mexico. We've yet to see what that will be, but I'm looking for that. And it's possible there's going to be 2 major leaks because we experienced 2 in our home. So the Father said, this dream is coming to pass behind the scenes as leakers are spilling out details of crimes and exposing those who planned and carried out these schemes. At just the right time, these leakers will be discovered by all, and their damaging testimony will work together with the other elements of my rescue operation to bring down evil and set your land free. December 5th of this year, the entry that this episode is entitled for, Let the Curtain Fall. Very serious. There comes a point in people's lives when the evil they have sown will result in judgment falling on them. This is never my choice for them. It is a path they have chosen as they continually refuse to acknowledge me and they continue to trample on my gift of salvation. The enemy convinced them that the broad road they were on led to riches, power, and control. They refused my warnings that there was a trap on the road that would spring shut on them, and that they were positioning themselves to receive as a harvest all the destruction they planned for you. There's coming a sudden sharp turn in the road that they are on that they did not foresee, and as they are forced to make this turn, they will have walked directly into my trap, and it will snap shut upon them. Those who thought they were wise will suddenly look foolish. Those who thought they had the power and wealth will suddenly be defeated and poor. Every evil structure they so carefully built over the generations will be crushed by my hand of judgment and justice. Written over their lives will be the word vanquished. I am requiring this harvest for the wicked because I have heard your cries for rescue and deliverance, and I am moving to reestablish justice and righteousness in your nation, where it will flow out into all the world. Just as you have joined me on the battlefield to push back the darkness, so I ask you now to stand with me in my judgments. The judgments released may seem harsh to you, but understand that they are reaping the harvest that their dark and selfish choices chose. Align your heart with my heart, Psalm 97:8. But God's Zion people are content, for they know and hear the truth. The people of praise rejoice over all your judgments, O Lord. Psalm 58:10. The godly will celebrate in the triumph of good over evil, and the lovers of God will trample the wickedness of the wicked under their feet. So I say to you, let the curtain fall on the evil empire. Yahweh has spoken, and it shall be done. A journal nugget from December 5th of last year. This was a visit to the war room of heaven. I'm not going to go over the whole visit, but specific targets for prayer were given in this. South Dakota was mentioned, the border at Texas and California. I believe we need to keep those in prayer. And the Father did say at that point, because it was December 5th, he said Operation D5 is now ready for launch. And one of the meanings of D5 is a huge avalanche. He said, reassure my people this avalanche is moving forward to expose evil and evil systems. That we are to stand strong and we will be protected. We're to pray angelic coverage over the places he shows us to pray for and focus our intercession and turn back the enemy's plans. December 6th of 2022, they are not ready for what is coming. I want you to feel the intensity of what is building in the heavens. My hammer of judgment is poised and ready to strike the earth. Those partnered with darkness are not ready for what is coming. They believed the enemy's flattering words to them about how great and powerful they were. They believed his lies about me when he said I was all talk and no action. The great deceiver is himself the most deceived. And those who ally themselves with him will also fall under his spell of deception. When my hammer of judgment strikes the earth, it will break the spell of deception the enemy has had over those partnered with him and over the people of your land and over the lying media. Jaws will drop at the display of my power. Shock and awe will roll across the land as my avalanche of truth springs forth from the power of my hammer strike. I just realized he mentioned avalanche again. This year. I am preparing you for what is being released, but the evil is not ready for what is coming. Keep yourself anchored in my love and my protection and rejoice at my judgments, because they will make a way for the season of life, light, and liberty that is coming. All right, we're going to end with a good journal entry. But before that, let's go over our action items, things we are to keep in prayer, do and declare. We are to turn the page and declare, this is a season of new life and light for my nation. We're to hold our ground. He's defending us. Push back and declare the enemy has no power over you. Exalt his name right in front of the threats. Hear the battle cry from heaven. Take up your post. Sound the alarm when you see weak places or the enemy approaching. Keep on praying, declaring, worshiping. These are building a highway for his presence to invade. Pray for the leakers to be protected and brought forth at just the right time. We are to align our hearts with his in the coming judgments. We are to pray for supernatural protection for our borders and send the host to shore them up. Keep yourself anchored in his love and protection and rejoice at his judgments. December 3rd of 2022, the wonder of it all. When you see my rescue operation unfold before your eyes, you will exclaim, the wonder of it all. My plans and my purposes will prevail over every evil and destructive scheme the enemy has devised to steal your nation. Their fortresses from which they launched attacks and that protected them from exposure will crumble in a day. The haughty will be brought low. They will be stunned at my power, shocked at my brilliant plan, and stripped naked before the world. You will be in continual wonder as you see my rescue burst upon the scene, and the nations will look on in silent, wide-eyed wonder at the scene that is unfolding before them, the sudden reversing of the tide in your nation from dark to light. After years of noisy clamor and lies from the corrupt media, the silence will be shocking at first and then very welcome, as a quiet wonder and resolute purpose fills the hearts of the people of this land. As the deep darkness is unveiled, the people will resolve to pull together and to rebuild with righteousness and justice. As you see your nation rescued and brought back to life, never lose the wonder of it all. Keep that wonder alive in your heart, because it is the key to childlike faith, hope, and trust in me. Wonder replaces doubt, cynicism, and disappointment with shining eyes and endless trust. Oh, the wonder of it all, the love and power of your God. Oh, I love that word. And just to mention, I had some confirmations, just little things that the Father does to confirm to me the importance of these days. Last 2 days, I posted my entry on Telegram. One entry, it logs in the time you post it. One posted at 11:11, and then today was 10:10. I don't know how to calculate probability, but the chances of that happening 2 days in a row like that, pretty astronomical, because he's amazing God. Let's close in prayer. Father, we thank you for these beautiful words. Seal them in our hearts. Help us to remember the action items and to go for them. In your precious name we pray, my Jesus. Amen. And just to mention, I do post the action items on my blog. All that stuff is in the description box below the video. And there is a little down arrow that you click, and it will open up that description and show you all the things there. So thanks for being with me. Thank you for listening, and God bless you greatly.